How can it be that this man has seen a sight that shouldn't exist? The fabulous canals of Mars. Can this crater on the dark side of the moon explain a mystery handwritten in this book 8 centuries ago? Does this glass plate hold the secret of the lost planet Vulcan? And can this computer crack the oldest astronomical riddle of all? What was the Star of Bethlehem? Mysteries from the Files of Arthur C. Clarke, author of 2001 and inventor of the communication satellite. Now in retreat in Sri Lanka, after a lifetime of science, space and writing, he ponders the riddles of this and other worlds.
Astronomy is the oldest of the sciences. Since time immemorial, men have looked up at the starry skies and tried to unravel their secrets. Even now, our giant telescopes are discovering new and baffling phenomena at the very edge of the visible universe. I sometimes think that the universe is a machine designed for the perpetual astonishment of astronomers. Besides the new discoveries, there are also several classical astronomical mysteries which even now intrigue and baffle scientists.
Dr. Peter Boyce is on his way to the birthplace of the astronomical world's most sensational story. This is Mars Hill, where the drama of the canals of Mars was nurtured and disseminated to an astonished world. It was 1894 when construction began here on an observatory. It had been specially commissioned by Percival Lowell, a Boston millionaire who had developed a passionate taste for astronomy. These maps, which Lowell believed showed canals on the planet Mars, were drawn a few years earlier by an Italian astronomer, Giovanni Schiaparelli. They inspired in Lowell a lifelong obsession. He built his own observatory in the clear and steady air above the Wild West town of Flagstaff in Arizona. His aim to be ready for the close approach of Mars to the Earth due in the autumn of 1894. Peter Boyce, an executive of the American Astronomical Society, has come to Mars Hill because he, like Lowell, had an odd vision of Mars. In October 1894, Percival Lowell settled down to await his encounter with the red planet.
Night after night, Lowell and his assistants at the telescope here sat and made drawing after drawing of the markings that they saw on the surface of the planet. They saw the broad, dark markings that everybody at that time saw, but in addition, they saw these marvelous, long, straight, thin lines that Lowell called canals. We have a series of drawings made by Lowell and a number of his associates which show these, very definitely show a number of these canals, and the notation saw no end of canals. In fact, so many could not single them out enough to draw them.
Lowell constructed globes to show the canals he saw. There were dark blobs, too. These he called oases. In later years, his maps became even more intricate, with all the canals named, and he was fascinated by the way the canals seemed to grow from the polar ice caps each Martian summer. Lowell evolved the grandest and most romantic of theories. The canals were built by Martians to channel water from the ice caps, because their planet was drying up. The Martians were battling to stave off inevitable doom. Soon Mars mania was everywhere. The newspapers vied with one another for the most realistic view of life on Mars. And this is from a serious book on astronomy. In this desperate battle for life, signals from the Martians were supposedly detected. From the changing shadows of the planet's surface, an interplanetary Morse code of dots and dashes. Lowell proclaimed that the Earth likewise was doomed to die from drought. His own death came as the canal craze declined, but the idea was never quite buried. In 1964, the moment of truth, with a space probe, destination Mars. It found a desolate and lifeless planet, not a trace of canals. Yet Lowell's lines are still occasionally glimpsed. One night in 1971, Peter Boyce was observing Mars through the Cerro Tololo telescope in Chile.
On that night, the amount of detail that was visible on the surface of Mars was just incredible. The big dark marking, Syrtis Major, was darker than I've ever seen it before. It looked like the black pit of hell. I saw many of the oases all over the surface of the planet. You could see these small dark markings. I saw at least one of the canals that I recognized, the Thoth Canal, was extremely visible. Without question, it was there. It was standing out. I have to conclude that there is something on the surface of the planet, and that Lowell was indeed actually seeing something that was there. Whether or not it was a series of dots or this network of fine lines as he actually drew it, I think it must be one of the mysteries that remains.